Hello and welcome to Everyday Tarot, your daily dive into the divine wisdom of the tarot. I'm your host, Camille A. Saunders, healer, tarot enthusiast, and professional witch, and today I'm talking about an autumn recalibration spread. Whether you're a seasoned tarot reader or just starting to explore, this podcast offers daily insights, intuitive messages, and practical advice drawn from the cards. Each episode is designed to help you connect with your inner wisdom, find clarity in your decisions, and tap into the energy of the universe. Tune in every day, Monday through Friday, for fresh perspectives and empowering guidance from the tarot as interpreted by me. If you love the show, the best way to support it for free is by listening daily, leaving a review, and subscribing or following in your favorite podcast app. If you love the podcast and want to support it further, you can join the Everyday Tarot Patreon family. Some of the benefits include getting an individual card pulled for you once a month live on the podcast, some behind-the-scenes peeks of upcoming seasons, and if you'd like to support the podcast even further, you can get a one-time individual 5-card reading in addition to all the other benefits if you join the Witch level on the Patreon. I recently recorded an hour-long video episode for the new moon that we welcomed in on October 21st, 2025. So if you missed the live, you can check out the New Moon Collective Tarot Reading replay. That'll be linked in the show notes, or you can always go to my YouTube channel, which is just Camille A. Saunders is the channel name at youtube.com. As a bonus for the Queer Joy Summit that I wrapped up recently, or that I was a part of and that wrapped up, I created a Queer Coven Spooky Tarot spread, and I wanted to give you all a chance to grab it, even if you weren't part of the summit. It's a Halloween and queer-themed 6-card spread, and you can go ahead and grab that. I'll have it linked in the show notes as well. I was recently on Kayla Moore's Connected Pleasure podcast. You can check out our episode on Kayla's podcast where we talked all about living by the body, dreaming of land, and weaving the future. I also have the link to Kayla's offer page in the show notes if you want to work one-on-one with her. I am looking for more guests to be on my podcast, so if you're interested or know someone that might be a good fit, please fill out my form to be a guest on the podcast or send it to someone else. If you want to work with me more directly and maybe you don't live local, I will be kicking off my Tarot Transformation workshop starting in January 2026. We'll be deep diving the first 12 of the major arcana cards all together as we embody archetypes and learn about how to transform ourselves through the tarot. I will be going into 1 card per month for all of 2026. You'll be able to sign up for the whole year's worth of workshops in advance and get a discount, or you can always buy them as one-off workshops, and I'll have all the dates and everything set up in the next month so that you can get all of those on your schedule and decide how you want to participate. If you don't already know, I'm a sex and relationships therapist and coach, seeing individual and relational clients virtually all over from my home office. I love working with queer, poly, and witchy clients. So if you'd like to work with someone that doesn't judge you, is witchy just like you, and helps you learn how to deal with anxiety, chronic pain or illness, communication issues, self-advocacy, and sex, head to my website and book a free consultation now to start your journey. And you can find that at CamilleASaunders.com. Maybe you've heard me talk about creating your own tarot cards before and crafting, and you're like, Camille, I don't have art skills. No worries. So you can learn how to create your own tarot cards through collage. So you can get my full workshop, which has the hour-long recording with my step-by-step method, examples of the cards I've created, and journaling questions to kind of help you figure out how you want to create the cards and what your theme will be and everything. And then everything else will be included in a PDF to walk you all through it for just $33, and you can click the link in the show notes to purchase that now. If you're interested in the 2025 5-card tarot spread I created just for you, my lovely listeners, at the beginning of this year, you can get that by joining my newsletter list. My weekly newsletter always has the most up-to-date info on upcoming events, presentations, musings, and info and photos of my day-to-day life. If you're local and want to meet me in person, you can check out my Let's Talk Tarot meetup group, or if you're interested in celebrating the full moon, I am holding full moon women's circles for the rest of 2025. You can join my colleague Izzy and I under the glow of the full moon for an evening of connection, reflection, and ritual. We'll be meeting at Thresholds Collective in Tacoma the first Sunday of the month to welcome in the full moon together, and the next dates are November 2nd, so that's coming up this weekend, and then December 7th. And we do, I do a collective tarot pull there, and then we usually all pull cards and do like a sharing discussion with each other. We also I lead a meditation, like an opening meditation or connection. Izzy goes into our astrological update of what the full moon is all about and how to work with that. Then we usually move into an embodiment practice and then end with a ritual, usually of burning our desires, our manifestations, we're releasing things in my mini cast iron cauldron outside of our location there as we conclude together. So it's very fun. I know we still have some spots available for this weekend and definitely for the December one. So if you're local and you're interested, please go ahead and get signed up. And you can find the links for any of these offers in the show notes or on my website, CamilleASaunders.com/everydaytarot, in addition to the images of the cards I pull on each episode. And if you haven't listened to my other seasons yet, you can check that out. We are actually in season 17 right now, where I'm talking all about different autumn tarot spreads. So that's what we're doing this season. But my last season was all about queer deities. I've talked about crystals, plant allies, animals, witchcraft, tarot and pop culture, all kinds of things in different seasons. And today we are talking about an autumn recalibration spread. So this is a short spread today, just 3 cards. It is technically, so I'm pulling this from AngelorumTarot.com, tarot spreads for the equinox. So this was technically for the autumn equinox, which would have been at the end of September. I'm going to be sort of using it as a, just like a general autumn recalibration. And again, it's 3 cards. So if you want to go grab your cards and go along with me, go grab those now, pause, or go grab your cards with whatever you're doing, and then we'll get into it. So again, this was on the Angelorum Tarot website. I think it was created, the spread, in 2023 for the spring equinox, actually. So this person lives in the southern hemisphere, so that was autumn for them in March. But yeah, I think this will be super applicable to even right now, the celebration. So I'll give a little bit of an overview and then we'll get into it. So we're going to be going into the 3 prompts are what my lunar self needs now, what my solar self needs now, and the most loving way to harmonize the needs of my lunar and solar selves. So when we think about the lunar self, that represents your wild, intuitive self, the part of you that is best nurtured in imagination and the subconscious mind. But you think again of the moon card in tarot, similarly associated. It corresponds with the right hemisphere of the brain. The card showing up here will guide you on how to nurture your creativity and allow your wild self to come out to play as the days grow longer. All right, and then when we think about, it says, perhaps you've cocooned yourself during the winter months and allowed some creative ideas to sprout. This card might show you what your next creative step needs to be. So for the next prompt, it'll be about the solar self. The solar self represents your organized, self-aware, and analytical, rational self. This part is best nurtured through creating structure and useful habits that further the goals that you're already aware of. It corresponds with the left hemisphere of your brain, and the card that shows up here will reveal a useful action step that you can implement on a daily, weekly, monthly basis during this part of the year. It says be open to the possibility that this part of you is ready to spring into action now as our seasonal changes is going, but it also can be about giving yourself the same level of acceptance you would afford for your best friend. And then finally, the 3rd card is all about the most loving way to harmonize these 2. And here they actually show the Temperance card, which often shows like pouring something from one vessel to another, sort of that balance. For this part. And so again, this can be about how to harmonize these parts of ourself. There's the fire that represents the solar self and the water as the lunar self. And we have to be gentle and patient with ourselves in this process, right? It's a lifelong journey, but one that requires special attention at certain points in the wheel of the year. So if the Temperance card shows itself in this position, you need to simply observe and follow the guidance in the paragraph above. It says any other card will give you a more specific action action step to take. Pay attention to the suit element. Wands and swords are more yang or solar energy, and cups and pentacles are affiliated with a more yin or lunar energy, for instance. And again, like, feel free to write down what you learned from this tarot spread, meditate on the findings, and maybe think about, what are you incorporating for yourself over the next couple of months? All right. So let's get into it. I'm going to grab a tarot deck, bring it over here, and we'll get started on this 3-card spread. So go grab your decks as well. All right, so today I am pulling from the Anima Mundi Tarot deck by Megan Wyra-Wenden. I picked up this deck in Salem, Massachusetts when I was there with friends a couple years ago. It's a lovely, so it has lots of animal depictions and some plants or like natural features. It's a very user-friendly deck, and also I think it's pretty friendly when I read for other people as well. This is a deck I use for folks that maybe have no information or background on tarot, but that are interested in a reading, just because a lot of people understand sort of, I feel like, inherently the animal associations, or maybe, right, we grew up with that, or there's a lot of Native American traditions that utilize like symbology or affiliations with animals. So I feel like people sometimes already understand how these different animals show up in this way. All right. So I'm going to cut the deck, and then I like to lay down my 3 cards. So interestingly, the shape for this is like 1 is at the bottom on the left, 2 is at the top right, and then 3 is kind of like in the middle, which is interesting for a 3-card spread. So I like to lay mine face down to start, and then I flip them as I kind of like read or think about the prompt. So for a first card, so again, get your cards down, what my lunar self needs right now. Okay, I pulled the 7 of Wands reversed, and this one does usually have reversal definitions in the deck guidebook, so I will read this reversed as well. The 7 of Wands. When I look at this card, there's sort of like some blossoms falling. The wands itself have actually looked like almost like a rose tree, or there's like flowers and leaves on the middle one, and then there's some petals and flowers and leaves falling. So that's kind of interesting. So upright, the 7 of Wands would be about, you fought your way to the top, now you have work to stay there, hold your ground, prepare for competition coming your way. So reversed, this is about giving up, feeling overwhelmed, feeling inadequate, and aggression. So immediately for me, I connect with this because I think about how personally myself, if you've listened to my other episodes recently, you've heard this already, but I'm feeling kind of burned out right now. So, right, like even the imagery of the card is like, oh, you're like a plant and your like leaves and flowers are dropping, right? Like you're dropping your energy, and it's kind of going into, if we think about the plant metaphor, going into your, right, kind of like mulch that's going to break down and feed your root system. So appropriate for, at least for me, like the sort of autumn time of year, we're in between autumn equinox and winter solstice, right, where we are like kind of losing a lot of energy. So to me, this is thinking about, so what does my lunar self need right now? I feel like to me, it's kind of like recognizing part of it, that I am burned out, right? And then that helps me understand kind of how to maybe nourish myself in the future. So when we look at, again, the needs of the lunar self, as they talk about in here, part of you that's best nurtured via the imagination and subconscious mind, your wild intuitive self, how to nurture your creativity and allow your wild self to come to play as the days grow longer. I think it's this kind of like, it's okay to like, not have all these like new ideas coming in, or kind of that those ideas are maybe, right, they are, they're sort of like, they're there, but they have a little while before they're going to come up in the springtime and kind of like burst through and become manifest. So, right, I'm thinking about nourishing myself right now. How do I do that? How do I make sure that I'm not pushing forward on ideas or kind of like forcing creativity, but that I'm allowing for that to come on its own timeline. And in the meantime, I'm taking care of myself and nourishing myself. So that's how I interpret that. All right, so let's go into the second prompt or second card, which is what my solar self needs now. And again, this is the top right card, actually. Okay, it says the 9 of Cups, which is interesting because immediately I'm like, oh, the solar is fire, but cups are water. Okay, so the 9 of Cups, it is upright in this image, and actually it shows 9 cups that are sort of 3 at the top, 3 on the left, 1 in the middle, and then 1, 2 at the bottom, and sort of a very symmetrical organization. And it shows like a coral reef, like we're underwater with different fish kind of moving in and around. Like if you've ever been snorkeling, that's the vibe it gives me. And it is very like dark imagery, just like the colors themselves are dark gray, kind of blue gray, nothing super bright and colorful. We see a little bit of green, a little bit of kind of like sky blue, but everything else is very muted. So this says, again, the needs of my solar self. You're in a good place right now in terms of finances, work, health, and relationships. You're also doing well emotionally, being surrounded by comfort and luxury. Now is the time to indulge, kick back, and enjoy the finer things in life. You have a bright future ahead of you. All right, so again, this is our organized, self-aware, rational self, best nurtured through structure and habits, right? So this is saying, okay, make a habit of, again, like supporting yourself, surrounding in comfort and luxury. Now's the time to sit back, right? Kick back and enjoy what you have, right? We don't have to necessarily be planning for the future or have a lot of creativity. Like the future is bright ahead of you, right? It says in the upright, it's about comfort, satisfaction, stability, and contentment. So, right, that's what we're leaning into right now. This is actually the habit that we have to create is comfort, satisfaction, stability, and contentment. All right, so then let's go into the final card or prompt, the most loving way to harmonize the needs of my lunar and solar selves. All right, here. Okay, interesting. I pulled the 3 of Wands in reverse. So very interesting that like for the balance here, right, it's saying Wands. So wands are fiery energy, but again, like it is reversed. And when I look at it here, it gives like very springtime imagery or kind of like dusk. I feel like I see bats flying in the starry sky. Each of the wands has little white flowers growing. Like if you ever see like cherry trees or a lot of fruit trees in the springtime, they have those beautiful white or pink flowers. They kind of have that, and they're all holding on there. And then we see a bunch of like mountain landscape in the background. And again, yeah, it's like dusk. It looks like, because it's kind of light still in the sky above the mountains, but then it's very dark as we go up higher, and it does look like there are bats. So, right, this is how do we harmonize these two selves? And right, they talk about that this is embodied by the Temperance card. So we can think of that as we look at this card. So 3 of Wands. Upright would be about putting plans into action, opportunity, open the doors, broaden your scope, start thinking long term, be ready to embrace change. So all about preparation, expansion, enterprise, looking ahead, and growth. But of course, we are in reverse. So this is actually about, right, feeling obstacles. There is struggle, there's lack of foresight, there's impatience and delays. So, right, how do we kind of harmonize these two selves between the cards that we pulled, which are kind of this like burnout and then this like comfort. I would sort of interpret this as like we have to kind of lean into the fact that we're feeling stuck right now. We don't have a lot of like long-term planning. There's like some stuff in the future, but we're feeling both the kind of like impatience and the delays, or that there's things in our way. Right, so it does say in this spread description, right, this card will be about specific actions to take. Pay attention to the suit or to the element, so wands and swords. So this is a wand, are more yang, solar energy. So again, this is why it's kind of interesting, because we have yang energy, the solar, which is a lot more active, right? Creation, fire. But then we have these messages that are very like, not action, right? Almost like the opposite of taking action. So yeah, when I think about what this is telling me, I feel like it's saying, again, like acknowledge that we're like in kind of the obstacles, we're feeling some lack. We have ideas for the future, but they kind of feel distant right now. And I think, yeah, we got to lean into the, at least for me, the solar energy of like putting any creativity and sparks or things into comfort and nourishment, actually. So I think about like cooking, like doing a lot of baking breads and like roasting veggies and potatoes and like a lot of those kind of like fall, autumnal flavors, right? You got your pumpkin spice, so those warming spices, right? So I feel like this is kind of like we're gonna lean into the warming energy of the solar kind of thing. But as we do that, we're gonna be like focusing all of our creative and solar energy on emotional comfort and even like physical comfort that kind of come with the cups cards. So this is kind of like an interesting dichotomy, I would say. Slightly hard to like interpret on the surface, but I feel like, again, for me, what I know what is going on with myself, I of course don't know what's going on with you, but perhaps some of this resonates, right? That's why I like to do collective tarot spreads, because most of the time people can pick up on things that are relevant to them, and feel free to leave whatever doesn't. But yeah, I feel like this is saying like, slow down. If you have any active energy, put that into nourishment, comfort, cooking. Again, just because I think of cooking as like the fire element, right? We usually literally, it requires fire or heat in some way, but that we're going to be nourishing ourselves, and we're not trying to do anything super drastic or like effortful. We're putting all of our like effort energy into actually like slowing down and listening to our bodies and being supportive. So that is where I'm at today, and perhaps that's where you're at too. So thanks for joining me today. If you'd like to join me on this journey of using the tarot for transformation that I'm kicking off in January, so you can tell there, right, I'm very excited about it. I'm excited to do it. I'm excited to put effort into it, but right, I'm not forcing myself to do it yet. Right, we're planning for next year when I know that I'll be having time and energy to kind of put into that. And of course, we will start with the Fool card. And so the Fool is all about that sort of like beginning energy. So that will help us ease into, right, the new year and the Gregorian calendar that we use. And yeah, so if you're interested in that, that sounds fun. You can find the link in the show notes to get on the interest list, and I'll send you more info. I'm going to be doing it for 12 months of 2026. So we'll do one a month of calls and journaling to find out what happens when we want to transform our lives through the tarot. Links for the tarot decks I talk about are always in the show notes and on my website if you'd like to look at them or purchase them. And thanks for joining me today on Everyday Tarot. Just as a reminder, the podcast comes out daily daily, Monday through Friday for all of 2025. You can email me, me@CamilleASaunders.com with your thoughts, questions, and more. All right, see you soon. Bye-bye.